guys, it's Addams, and I figured that I would just make one big video about my earlobe scalpelling experience because I had like a few smaller videos and people were commenting wanting to know details about certain things, and I was missing a lot of information that you guys wanted to know. So rather than making like another video explaining more things, I figured I would just kind of recap and bring it all together into one video so that you guys only have to watch one thing. It has been almost 4 months since I got my earlobe scalpelled. I was obviously extremely nervous. There isn't a whole lot of information online explaining what happens, so it was very much unknown to me. And I had seen on YouTube a few different people getting their earlobes scalpelled or punched or all kinds of things, and it seemed really awful. Like, most of the time they're like cutting chunks out of your ear and like shoving jewelry in, and it looks like so much trauma to the area and blood everywhere, and it was absolutely terrifying. So when it came to the actual day of, I was extremely nervous. To my surprise, the modification artist that I saw actually froze my earlobes with a needle. My lobes were frozen from my tragus about to like here, so I didn't feel anything, which I was super stoked about. The sensation of the needle itself was very much like if you had a filling at the dentist when they freeze you with that needle. It was kind of like a pinchy sort of feeling. The artist then took a scalpel and was poking around on the earlobe to ask if I felt anything, and if I did, then that means the freezing hadn't completely set in yet. I'm gonna post a photo right now. He had marked the area that he wanted to remove from my earlobe, and then he proceeded to cut. He actually used like surgical scissors rather than a scalpel, and it just kind of felt like someone was touching me. Like, I couldn't actually feel anything really happening. It felt like, okay, like there's something there, but it was not painful whatsoever. I actually had to ask my friend Jessie, who was with me, Jessie, is he cutting my earlobe right now? And she's like, uh-huh. Sounded like when you're just cutting a piece of paper. And then the adrenaline really started to rush. I started giggling and babbling on about nothing. I said,
"It feels like you're snipping me into a beautiful, perfect paper snowflake."
I had also said, referring to the numbness,
"It feels like a warm hug on my ear, like a little hug."
So after the artist was finished snipping away the skin, he proceeded to apply sutures. I didn't feel the needle going through my ear, but I did feel the pressure. So it wasn't painful, but I could feel that it took a bit of force to get that through. The numbing lasted like 7 hours, so I slept completely comfortably and I didn't actually feel my earlobes until I woke up the next morning. During the healing process, and especially the morning after, I felt almost like a bruising soreness in the area. It wasn't extremely painful, it was just a little bit uncomfortable, especially when I would put pressure on the area. I had to keep my hair up, completely up, for the 2 weeks that it was healing so that my hair wouldn't get caught in the open wound. Cleaning them and caring for them was super easy. All I had to do was wash the earlobes 3 times a day with an unscented soap and lukewarm water. While I was cleaning them, it was a little bit sensitive, especially for the first week post-surgery. I was finding that I didn't want to pull one of the scabs off. But eventually, as time passed, the scabs just fell off by themselves, revealing nice earlobes that were healed. I'm gonna go ahead and post the collage that I had made as it was healing. You can see the earlobe as it's stitched up, and it's progressively getting less and less bloody and less scabby. I made an appointment to get the sutures out 2 weeks later. It was completely painless. You just had to cut the strings and pull the strings out, and off I went. Before the scalpelling surgery, I was about 22 millimeters, and after the scalpelling surgery, I remained at 22 millimeters. As you saw in my previous earlobe update, which is posted in the description of this video, my ears very quickly went from 22 millimeters to 25 millimeters. This is 25 millimeters, also known as an inch. I was this size previous to the 22 millimeters for a while, but I had taken out my jewelry about a week prior to the surgery in order to try and thicken up my earlobes and bring as much blood flow to the area as possible. Because my ears are naturally very small, like if you take this away and if you actually look at my ears themselves, they're actually very small. So he was telling me that I probably wouldn't get more than 1.25 inches out of my ears, which I was still happy with. But to my surprise, my earlobes were actually a new size every 5 days for the first little while, which was expensive to keep buying jewelry for. But then I found a solution to the problem. Doing my best to wear stone or bone jewelry. It's a little bit heavier, so it'll help to stretch them on their own. So I just started layering silicone tunnels on top of the jewelry that I was wearing, the 1 inch. So I started with just one tunnel on there, and then when that would get loose, I would just put another tunnel over top of it. And so as you can see, there are 2 different silicone tunnels over this 1 inch jade plug. It stayed at this size for a while, and then ordered from bodyartforums.com a plug that was just slightly bigger than this, and then after that went here. Almost 4 months later, I'm at 1.5 inches, which looks like this. So I went in 4 months from this to this. I am so absolutely delighted to finally have my dream earlobes. The lobes themselves are still nice and thick. Because I've taken this out, I just wanted to show you what your earlobes will look like when you take your jewelry out after they had been scalpelled. Nice and circular. You can actually see what was cut. So see this nice shape? So this is what was cut out over here. And you can actually see the difference between, see how this is a little bit thinner? So this is my old bottom of my earlobe. And then since this skin over here was added to it, we've got this nice meaty skin over here. So I no longer run the risk of tearing my earlobes. So important after you have the surgery to let your earlobes stretch by themselves with gravity and with time. Some people's ears will stretch faster than others. You don't want to be taping them up or shoving tapers in, if you can even get them that big. You don't want to be purposefully stretching them. You have to really let them just do what they're going to do by themselves. Something that I was doing while they were stretching, and that I still do, is I actually massage my earlobes with vitamin E oil every night. It really helps to bring blood flow to the area and keep them nice and healthy, because sometimes they'll get dry, especially with Canadian winters. You really have to be careful of that. If ever I'm going outside into the cold, I'll just remove my jewelry altogether, roll my earlobes up into my toque, and try and keep them warm that way. It was a little bit embarrassing walking around with my hair completely up and my ears stitched up, because people were obviously seeing it and noticing it and wanting to ask questions like, oh my gosh, what happened to you? Or did you do that? Or why did you do that? And I realized that when you're doing such an unusual modification, people are curious. They're gonna ask questions, but it was a little bit uncomfortable for me to get that much attention drawn to myself. There was no way that I could hide them because I needed my hair to be up all the time. And I'm actually unable to say who or where this was done. So it was awkward and people would start asking questions and I actually couldn't answer all their questions. Well, you guys, I think that's everything. I hope that I covered everything. If you're thinking about getting your earlobes scalpelled, I definitely absolutely recommend you seek out a professional body modification artist. Make sure that they're clean, make sure that they're professional, make sure that they have experience doing this. I'm really fortunate to have found someone who was really good at what they do. Well, you guys, I hope that you have an awesome rest of your day. Make sure to like and subscribe. If you have any comments, anything at all, please comment down below. I will absolutely either reply with a video or just commenting back to you. I love to read your comments and I love to get your feedback. I'll see you next week. Bye!